So, you think you can do hair? Then join us every Monday at 12 o'clock on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel.
Oh, what are you waiting for? They waiting on us to come in, Miss Cheryl. What's up, Hair Oracle? How's it going?
What is happening?
The weather. We made it through the bootleg snowstorm that came through yesterday in certain parts of Cleveland. I'm like, what's up, Cleveland? How we gonna do it? But if you live in Cleveland, you know the weather is extremely crazy. Yeah, 1 minute it does one thing, the next minute it does another. But anywho, we made it through the snowstorm and saw neighborhood. But at Beechwood kind of had it bad. So some of the suburbs, or what they call the snow belt, didn't have excellent weather. But anyway, what about that beautiful weather? And are you guys in Southern California?
Southern.
It never rains in Southern California.
We got a lot this year.
Oh, really now?
Well, comparative terms.
Comparative terms. You know, rain to them is probably like drip, drip.
Exactly.
Well, we got a wonderful podcast. Welcome all you barber and cosmetology and aesthetics and nail people. Welcome to our 5th episode of So You Think You Can Do Hair, Skin, and Nails, because today this topic is relevant to all the beauty professionals, and it is all about how to build clientele. And in case you are new to the podcast, again, this is the So You Think You Can Do Hair edition. You are on the Afro Hair Summit platform. And so today, this podcast is specifically for those students in cosmetology school. And the podcast is brought to you by the one and only, our intern. What's up, Theo? I know you got some knowledge to drop in the chat. Our intern, Miss Samaria Smith, and she's a student of cosmetology here in Cleveland, Ohio. And so this was her idea, like, hey guys, how about you come live in the noon? That way, while we're in class or on our breaks rather, and we're kind of bored and we just, want to watch something, instead of just always looking at haircuts and hairstyles, how about you and the Hair Oracle drop some knowledge, because there's not a lot of platforms for those students who are in school and who need help in real time. So today I have about 3 clips, Cheryl, to help our students understand how to build clientele. Now, if you are a cosmetology or barber or a student, rather, also an instructor, maybe you're a school owner, if you have any questions or topics that you would like for Cheryl and I to cover, please be so kind to drop your questions in the chat. And Cheryl and I, we do come back through and we check the feeds, so we will answer them. Also, if you have any questions, you can email Cheryl and I at afrohairsummit@gmail.com. I'll put that in the ticker. So there you have it. So we're going to go ahead on and get down to it. It's all about clientele. People they're about to graduate. Some people have already graduated, and they've got the equipment, right? They've got the chair. Some of them are actually renting lofts. They've had some training. Maybe they took some remedial, courses, just to kind of brush up on certain things. You got to make some money before you can take those advanced classes, But sometimes those little remedial courses kind of help you out with cutting and, maybe some applications on your nails. And then, of course, skincare, you can kind of get a brush up before you get out into the field. So they've got all the accoutrements, Cheryl. They've got all that, and they're licensed, they're official, Some might even still be interning, because when you're interning, you are allowed to touch customers, and you can build clientele as an intern if you choose to do so. At least here in the state of Ohio, at the Reverend Design Team Hair Salon, you can take your customers with you. We're not going to be upset if a customer decides to follow you. to your place of business. So that is perfectly okay at our salon. And so we'll even talk about that a little bit more. So how about we get them started? I think maybe what would help the students out is if you explain to them what's the difference between clientele and, the infamous my customer. That's my customer. That's my customer. And then you have the business owner saying, no, those are our customers. And so that's always a debate between clientele, customer. Does the customer belong to the technician, or does the customer / clientele belong to the actual business? And that's a really tough one, Cheryl. So students, get your notepads out, because you're going to love this. Now remember, now I do have you guys, this book is so thick and so massive. Remember, we are not cosmetology instructors. So this is just some, let's call this appendix, addendums we're going to add on to what you're already learning, okay? All right. Theo already says a customer is only while sitting in the chair. Okay. That's pretty powerful. Okay. So Cheryl, let's help them out with that. You take it away.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do we know the difference between a client? Well, Theo just gave us one. And in my opinion, if you guys don't do sales, which I actually think that should be a course in cosmetology, in my opinion, while you guys are in school. And if you didn't get sales, a client is actually, like I would say Theo said, a customer is buying one thing from you and one thing only, and usually repeats, leaves, and repeats. Clients are so much more in depth. And let me just say this. The way I look at it is that I don't look at it all in any difference at all, just to make sure that I treat a client like a customer and a customer like a client. I communicate with my customers like I communicate with a client, because I know that a client is going to need or pay me for more than just what a customer or one-time product or a do-rag or a comb or whatever the case may be. I don't assume that they're different, in my opinion. So if you don't have a line of difference, or there's no deference, in my opinion, then you will make sure that your clients are buying things from you monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, or bi-monthly, or whatever, how you guys want to call that. But I also make sure that my customers are connected to me doing newsletters, information, that they're consistently connected to me. So I try not to make a difference. That's just my opinion.
Now that's a lot of work, Cheryl, because now I'm playing. Y'all know Kilo. Y'all know I'm coming through right with the truth, okay? So I'm trying to make some money out here. Now here you are talking about I got to send out a newsletter. I got to stay connected, and I'm trying to build clientele. You went off the deep edge because I still got to get some money. I got children. I got things to do. I got bills to pay. And that student loan, the student loan is going to come back through, because a lot of us, I know I borrowed money to go to cosmetology school. So I had two pays. I had to pay out my pocket, and I had to pay Sally Mae, old greedy ass. But anywho, how are they to balance? Like, you're saying you're adding on things that's just it's really not talked about. When you hear people talk about how to make money, they really don't go into that part. So take our students and our school instructors and our school owners on a deeper dive into your example of the behind the scenes of the true, I call that income generating work. That's not about hair. When you talk about newsletters, and what do you mean by stay in touch when I got to pay my bills? Because you all feel me out here in the streets.
Well, there's short money, and then there's long money. There is, a client is, going to stay with you for the long haul. But after the long haul or long term, they need more than just a hairdo. And so if you think of yourself as a doer, then you're only going to be doing one person at a time. And it's harder to get referrals like that because you're not giving them that extra attention. And that is also because cosmetology is taught as a doing thing. They don't understand that. And also, let's be real. Cosmetologists are not doing business. They're trained as a labor force, and that's part of the issue, because you're laboring from one customer to the next, right? But when you leave the salon, you think your job is over, and therein lies the bad habits. That is where you're going to get into the bad habits,
Right, but
because
when
you don't have a business. What you have is that you just have customers, and then your customers only look at you as a worker. They don't look at you as a portal of information, an expert. You're not giving them anything beyond the chair, so you get handcuffed to the chair and want to know why it's so hard to move either way, to expand, because you're handcuffed literally to just yourself.
Well, you have some things that, because if we're not taught this in cosmetology school, now I think the students who are still in high school, or they're connected to additional education such as English, math, science, some of the other courses, they probably could fare well, as opposed to a person like me who went when I was much older. I had already, graduated. From school. And so you got all this new technology. And then you also have things like spelling. Maybe you don't have the equipment. Maybe you don't feel like you can write as good, but you're talking about a newsletter. You're talking about all these other things, what you call stay connected. So help help all of the students understand, or just give them some nuggets on how do you utilize those other I want to call them non-income. I don't want to call them non-income generating skills, but they're not the styling skills, such as spelling, writing, writing this stuff out. How do you make it short? Like that kind of stuff, because it may get talked about, but remember, this podcast is maybe to give them like a 1, 2, 3 punch, so they can say, oh yeah, I get it now.
I'm going to use actually you as an example. When I was there in Ohio, and for everyone who's listening, I'm going to just peel this onion back, but starting with customers and clients have one thing in common. That's a relationship. You're having a relationship with them. And so when I was in Ohio the last time, you had dropped me off at the hotel. And do you realize that someone actually called Ladosha to tell them what extra things that were going on with a client? And so they thought so much of a Ladosha to call her and to let her know that, of course, because your customers also become your friends, your clients become people in your life. So you are not just servicing them once they leave. You're connected to them. And so if they have health issues, you start getting connected. And so when I was there, I guess part of her family called, or another person called Ladosha to let them know that something had happened to one of her clients, and how Ladosha was so put upon, because that is the first part of really connecting with your customers. You have conversations while they're in their chair, and while they're in your chair. So one of the things, establish a relationship, because at that point, once you establish the relationship, the customer or client is gonna do things for you you won't ask them to do, like referrals, right? And so then they begin to start connecting with you and start putting money in your pocket in ways that you don't foresee.
Right.
And that's just one. And so that one component is relationships, but then it takes off the heavy lifting for when your next thing is that is referrals, and that's how you start building, because they'll start trusting you with their aunt, they'll start trusting you with their best friend, they'll
Right, but
start
when you're talking about like writing newsletters, I see Theo is in the chat and he's saying he's an expert, he's an educator, a self-published author. He exhibits his practice. Now, of course, he's very seasoned. So we're talking about people who are new to the industry. How are they to
right.
craft
And let me make my
something?
third. Right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
And then the next point is that, let's just say you work around young people. You don't necessarily have to write it yourself, but you do have your interns, you do have your apprentice, and you have young people around you. You don't have to rely on the fact, and go find and Google the subject matters that you do want to cover. They could already been covered. And so all you have to do is repurpose that content and information, right? And put your own, and make it akin or germane to your personal clientele. You're not asking you to be authors. What we're asking you to is to the very things you read, if they're interesting to you, just put them in your own words and repurpose it.
I like that. I also like this advice here. Business relationship is not personal. And I think sometimes, I know for me, I was very hard on myself because you just want to get it right. You're just so anxious to get out there and show what you can do that you do start to feel like maybe I'm not, that was my reluctance because I really wasn't the best. And you're just anxious to get up there. You don't realize that it's business. And so that these things happen in small incremental steps and that it is not personal. And again, we want you students to understand that that is what this platform is all about. It's about helping you navigate your way through your educational experience with some support of people who actually work behind the chair, like Theo, myself, and of course we got the hair oracle here who has infinite amount of expertise. Let me show you a clip, right clip. I have 3 clips that we're going to use to kind of focus on, and I think some of this stuff are well intended, but I think that it may not kind of capture exactly what the students are looking for. Like you're giving them some really hardened, information that they can actually go back and use. So let's hear. Now these are licensed professionals. So these are people who work from behind the chair. So here's what this young lady has to say on YouTube. Make sure you go and support these people. They do have content that's great, even though it's different from ours. And again, today's topic is all about how to build clientele.
Will be a video about tips on building clientele as a hairstylist. This can work for anybody who's in like a service-based business and you move to a new city, or just anything in that nature. This will work for you. So some of these topics are kind of going to be like kind of the same thing, but it's not really the same thing. But you just have to, if you follow these steps, you're guaranteed going to build clientele. Like, this is the same steps I took, probably not in this order, but it was the same thing I did. Number 1 would be to find someone who takes great pictures naturally.
Okay, this is Desire, her CEO. And so we hear that struggle. She was struggling to get that point out. She was like, but she is at, obviously she's at the beginning of her career, and she's taking the nesty plunge. She's going for what she knows, and she doesn't have it all together. But you know what? She's going to make that video and do it anyway. Hence, Theo's point that it is business, not personal. But that's a real person who's really in the struggle of coming through her career. And so she says, you know what you need to do to help build some clientele? You need to take some good pictures. Now, you as the editor-in-chief of San Diego's
That in my opinion.
respectable publication. How do you help? What's the purpose of taking pictures and just that getting through that struggle and trying to get your work so people can see what you're doing? Or is that important in building a clientele?
Well, we're in the beauty business, and pictures have to be beautiful. And I know we don't, we're in a world of selfies, and I know, and that serves a purpose in the moment. But when you really, in creating a portfolio, in creating and making sure that you create, or just in the days of pixels and all these other apps, you can really make your pictures beautiful very quickly that we couldn't do 20, 30 years ago. But let me just, and I think too, do most people in their salons, do they hang up their own work? Or do you, like, when your clients or your customers, do you give them a book of your work?
That's a good question. Everybody, if you're watching this, we got some people in the chat, so feel free to drop your comments. Do you have a catalog? No, you call it a portfolio. A portfolio that you show your guests, or do you have something in your hair salon where people, or your loft, where people can see your work of what you do? Okay, and as they answer that question, why is that important to have a portfolio or something displayed? Because we don't have anything on our walls. So,
well, let me just say this. Theo is being a little modest.
Of course he is.
You have to remember, Theo is also a comedian. And he is, I've heard, quite good at it. And so he has been able to bridge those two together, and he's quite personal. And let me just say, I think that the transaction of a service, of rendering a service for money, is a transaction, and that is not personal. That is quite business. But customer service is always personal, and if you don't get personal, they're not going to remember you. They're not going to refer you. And that is that emotional connection that you make with people and you gauge with them, then they remember you without even if they lose your number, they will go out of their way to find either where you work, or even if, that person doesn't work, well, can you find that person? They will look for you, right? And so I believe that it's a nice mix there, to know that great service, rendering a good service, you'll get the transaction and you'll get the money that you asked for. But if the customer service is personal, in my opinion.
Okay, so customer service is definitely, a little bit personal. So, well, here's the thing, I'm trying to get them a transition from that behind. So we've got you guys from behind the scenes, that you have to build something by way of a communication beyond an app of, drop me a deposit and I'll do your hair. So you're saying you need to have some communication. You're definitely going to have some customer service. Now we're talking about pictures.
Right. And that next level is to get them into your world. Those pictures are to connect them into you being creative. One, pictures and how those pictures are done. It tells a person that you're meticulous, or you are a hair cutter, or you have a certain skill and a certain signature that is only and exclusive to you, and you can deliver through pictures, or as they would say, I can show you better than I can tell you.
Okay.
But while they're sitting there waiting for you, or they're in your chair, they're going to be in their phone. They're going to be distracted, or you guys may not, engage into a conversation. But the point is that good point. And I think it's a great question, in the use of artistic and creative skill set, and no better way to show it off than giving them a little booklet, catalog, or something of your career and the things you've done.
All right, so help Mary um, your catalog, right? Well, let's go back. Let's help Mary. You got some communication that you're going to send them. Hey, here's a tip of the day or whatever, and now you've got a great image. But now you've got the social skills. So I need you to make the connection because Theo, I'm here to tell you, and all of my cosmetology, barber, aesthetics, nail tech students, this is where they feel this is their weakest moment because I'm not a good talker. I'm a little shy. I'm bashful. How do they develop that social skills? And I'll show you a clip. A woman has something to say about a little bit about that, and she's going to tie in two other points. So just think about that. Here's our second clip.
And I feel like these are like some of the main things that you need to know to become a six-figure hairstylist. So that's that. You don't want to be mediocre. You want to master something and just run with it. Charge your worth. And I promise, if y'all follow these tips, you will see something. But the main thing is, if you don't take anything from this video, please be consistent. Please show up every day. Show up every day. I don't care what you do.
All right, so she's kind of in the ballpark of where you guys are going with this, but we're just kind of moving the conversation along to bring it together because all of those that she said requires social skills. You can't be able to charge your worth. You're not going to be able to really talk about your expertise if something about that social skills is missing. So how do you put that together? And what social skills would they just keep it 100 because they just spent this money? They got to go out here. What social skills do they really need? Because we say that, but they're like, well, I'm nice, I'm cool, I am showing up every day.
Yeah.
What more do they want? I'm the best weave slayer. I can cut the best fades. What's the problem? My nails look good. Come on, Ladosha's makeup is nice. Help them out, Cheryl.
Well, it's that thin line between, I think we say colloquialisms like, business is business and it's not personal. But the problem is that the problem is that they don't understand the personal does require social skills, but the social skill is conversationalist. And see, and this is the art of why they don't do consultations well. And so when you sit down and you learn how to have a conversation with someone, because you're getting ready to ask them for money, right? And you also want them to tip you. Tipping is from something extra that's called personal, right? Tips don't have anything to do with business. And so the key is to practice by yourself, practice with your mom, practice with someone to be able to have a conversation with them, to warm up. And the best way to learn how to be a great conversationalist is to ask questions. And so when you master the art of the consultation, you're asking questions. When people ask questions, question asking means you're interested. And when a person feels, especially a cosmetologist or a barber, when you ask them questions, it's just a best way to break the ice. And it makes you get good at calling them by their first name, asking them questions. And you can role play this, and you should be able to develop this in school and see. And that's like we talk about Ladosha all the time. These are the things that you should be able to develop in school right before you graduate.
Right. So you're telling me, here's a real live salon chair back there, right? So you're telling me that if I put that customer in that chair and I say, so what are we doing today? What you want done? What you want me to do? That's not good enough. We can't.
Well, what's the first thing what a doctor says?
Tell me everything that's going on with you. How have you been since I last seen you? What are we here for today?
Right.
My doctor.
Right. And you, being loquacious as you are, you don't have a problem saying that, right? You don't have a problem saying, How are you? You know, how do you feel today? Okay. So the last, and then let's just say if they're a repeat. What happened in your last visit? How did that work out for you? Should we do something different? What is, does your hair, just probe them, just ask them questions, just get them talking about their favorite subject, them. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
it usually warms the energy around your chair. And then once you
Mm.
get them talking, guess what? You can also add suggestions, and then the conversation just gets fuller from there.
Mm. Now, as we're asking now here at our salon, I'm sitting here at our actual desk here, and we have. Now, you guys, let me know if you think this is important. But we have a form.
Uh-huh.
So, do you think forms are okay in the consultation, or can we just have the conversation during the consultation? Or do you think? Remember in beauty school? I don't know if you guys, but note cards. We would write our notes because you keep a profile card. Is that still a good thing today? I know there's probably an app for that, but anywho.
Well, especially pay attention to the age and the generation or that client. If they are your age or maybe slightly older, they would probably appreciate eye contact. It'd be nicer to turn them around and don't talk to them through the mirror. And if they happen to be
Guilty is charged. They are guilty. I'm so guilty. It's pathetic. Okay, I do that. Okay, I gotta stop doing that. Why is that not good? Talking at them through the mirror. Oh gosh, I'm so guilty.
well, the mirror is a barrier, and you need to take control over the client. I'm the boss. I am here to give you what you want, but I am the lead here. I'm going to do it in the best set of circumstances. I'm going to do it the healthiest way. I'm going to do it the best way, and then when you face them and you turn them around, you're taking the authority position because they came there to be led by you. They want to feel that they're in good hands. And that's why they are. And that's when, I may want to get extra $10 to $15 from them. Then that's when I start changing the body language and the energy. And so when you turn the chair around, you're asking them to be honest with you. You're not, and you're coming out. The chair becomes more like a little couch. It just becomes it just changes the difference, in my opinion.
Wow. So this isn't quite the conversation. I always think we're going to go into another way, but you always take me around the corner and bring it back because I was waiting I thought you were going to get through like to create some coupons and do some deals and all those things. You haven't even got to that part. You're very much into interpersonal, building yourself, your vernacular, your body language, relationships. You haven't got to what we typically think of in building clientele, which is like, I know when I was in school, it was, they had some type of I don't know,
Incentive programs.
well, it was like a theory that for every 100 cars you passed out,
Oh,
you get one customer. So we were to pass out 100 cards. You had to go and put these hot cards like in people's, on their cars. This is before, of course, social media. So, but that is still being used. So I see you're not talking any of the old-fashioned ways of building clientele, which are coupons. Like the Groupon was really popular at one point, but I don't see you talking about any of those types of things. And is there a reason why?
Well, I think because one, we're assuming that, let's just say, we're building it from the service portion. Now, when you want to get into marketing, you can start putting coupons and incentive programs, referral, I'll give you 10% off when you come back. Those are things that you can do on digital devices, such as emails, right?
Okay.
Because you want, you want that to travel because someone, and if you refer someone or if you post this for me, I will give you 10%. There's just so many things that's a faster moving cycle, but the ones that get those referrals are the what you're going to do to that person and with that person and for that person.
So you're definitely talking about. So you're definitely talking about
See, I
creating
still have
an
a clientele.
experience.
Right.
Okay.
I haven't did hair in professionally behind a chair in about 12 years, but I still have the clientele.
So
I don't ever stop just because what they'll come in town and they'll call me up. Cheryl, can you do my hair? I still have them, even though they go to other people, but I am what we call their preferred. And say and preferred and like, you know, you don't necessarily even have to be. I think people sometimes want to just come to you, Ladosha, just for the comfort and because of your service and your and just your warmth and how you do things. And
I want to testify because y'all know I can't do no damn hair. I was like, okay, you guys say so, but what? But how about we do this?
And let's be clear. The woman said in your video, 6-figure.
Yeah, 6 figures.
That's not just coupons and flyers, people.
Okay, that's not just coupons and flyers, but you know what you can do? Let's help. Can you guys help Cheryl and I change the narrative about how to build clientele? And what we want you to do is show them how to do this right quick. All you got to do is this right here. Here you go.
Pampa me on, pampa me on.
All right, so there you have it.
Did you do it?
Yeah, all you got to do is just hit that button right now. It's not too late. Hit the thumbs up button, and then that is how you're going to be able to help change the narrative about how to build a clientele, especially if you're on your way out of cosmetology and barbering and nail tech and aesthetics. You're on your way out. Maybe you've been working behind the chair for a couple of years now, and you're feeling somewhat disenfranchised. Like, you know what? I've spent this money. I'm going to go work part-time. You know, talk about that, because when I was in school, that was something that, you know, the seasoned stylists used to always get on the new stylists. Like, you know, you guys working 2 jobs out here, you ain't serious about being a cosmetologist because, you know, you out there working, you need to quit that job and be in here 24/7, be behind that chair. What do you say about, you know, having to work 2 jobs until you build? Should they just go cold turkey and sit in the chair and just, you know, go ham, you know, who I am, go ham in the chair and give it your all? Or is there an intricate balance between working part-time as you build your clientele to leave your job? What do you say about that?
I am, you know, I'm pro sales. So I agree if your body needs to be at another, you know, employer to be able to pay your bills and make ends meet while you're building, it makes sense. But what should you be doing at the other job? You should be eventually passing out. That's where the coupon comes in. That's where the flyer comes in. That's where the portfolio comes in. That is where your connections, ask them questions. I notice that you have some little, you know, your style doesn't last, and you get, because I hear you talking about it. Do you know that I just graduated? I would like for you to come by and allow me to, you know, do your hair and let me show you just in one little section, or if you can have some questions. Oh, by the way, I heard you talking about your hair, but here's an article that that I wrote, and if you give me your email, I'll send it to you. It's all conversation.
Now, I'm going to keep it 100. If anybody asks, Ladosha, how did you do it? I'm going to tell you right now. That statement right there that you did, because I worked as an outreach worker. So I was in an office full of women. So I never did, I want to be honest, I never did pass out any business cards, but I always made sure my hair was like flying tight. Y'all see what I'm saying? I ain't gonna tell no lie. Cheryl can testify. When you look the part, like people will say, I bet you a hairstylist. I'm like, I bet you damn right. I'm not even ashamed. Like some people won't like, and then I'll talk and they say, do you have like a doctorate in hair? I'm like, no, but this is very important, guys. You have to understand. It's really important that you look the part. And if you are working those part-time jobs, I mean, it was an easy transition because I looked the part. So people always wanted to ask me about my hair, number one. Number two, whenever they had all these questions, that's when blogging had just got popular. I was a blogging son of a gun. Even my blogs is named, I had the blog before I had the book. And you can go online and read those blogs. They're called What They Don't Tell You at the Hair Salon. And those blogs are getting read. I said people called me to come do presentations on those blogs. So that is a very, very good way of building your clientele. And I have another clip as we wrap this up because we know the students got to get back to their studies. So here's another clip that I personally find very good, and I think you guys are going to love it. So here we go. Again, these are cosmetologists, and make sure you go and follow these people right here on the YouTube platform as we talk about in our 5th episode, how to build clientele and try to get these bills paid. So here we go, Cheryl.
But you are going to want to purchase a notebook to write everything in. When I say everything, I mean everything. So yes, definitely get this little notebook and make a to-do list and just make sure you're ready to rent. Another big tip that I have, so tip number 2 is pricing.
All right. There's a book out there. I'm going to get the title while you're responding. It's called Write It Down, Make It Happen. Can you talk about the power of writing them goals out? I think Theo talked about that. Get some tasks, some things to do, write your dreams, like Dream Big. Yvonne Pointer, she's a motivational speaker here and very world renowned. And one day I had the opportunity to, spend some time with her. And one of the advice that she gave to me was to dream big. So what about buying a notebook and writing it down to make it happen, as to build your clientele? Is that realistic?
Well, what did they do I don't know what they probably did in Cleveland, but as a form of punishment, they used to make you write something 100 times or 200 times, right? And there's a part of your brain your brain is a muscle. And so when you get to write something down, you have to use the mechanical part of your brain. And then once you repeat it so much, you literally begin to either sing it or you'll say it or it'll be an imprint. And I think because cosmetology is a creative art form, that once it is repetitious, and I think that is completely perfect, but we don't think of cosmetologists as imaginary, it's so technical. And it's unfortunate how they sell cosmetology, because cosmology, cosmetics, it is very dreamy. And so when you do write something down, that's the cosmetic part. And so I think it's a perfect combination to be able to speak your future and to write your future so it can manifest and funnel into your reality. So I think that affirmations as well as writing it down is a good practice. Absolutely.
Wow. Let me show you guys the book here. Share screen.
Well, shit. I just wrote about, I always write notes.
All right, here we go. You always write notes. There it is, guys. For you to see in the flesh. It's called, excuse me guys, I have allergies. Write it down, make it happen, know what you want and getting it. I have this book in hardback and I have it on ebook. Henrietta Ann Clouser. It is a dynamic book. she has all of these little epithets of, of people who wrote stuff down and then things actually happen. And so I ain't gonna say that's some kind of sorcery. I'm not gonna use that term.
No, it's a brain thing, because it's not texting. It's not making a digital note. No, it's literally writing it down.
So what do you mean it's not texting?
When you do it digital, we're not talking about typing.
So what's the difference between digital typing or, and writing? What's the difference?
Well, because you're using a different part of your brain.
Oh, tell that damn Cheryl. That's why she is the hair oracle. So you're using part of your brain when you write. I never knew that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And it's almost like it's the same thing as a typewriter and your computer keyboard, because typing was sound. It's just a different part of your brain that has to work even harder to make letters. And so when you can write a note, for some reason, when you send a handwritten note, it's different than you writing and you're just sending a digital card. That's why digital Hallmark cards has never, you notice that, right? The stationary part in a store is still there.
Yeah.
Even though you had digital cards, they have
It's
just
kind of, I don't know if you recall Vince Robinson. We held the event, the spiritual Afro spirituality at his little business, and it's art. I shouldn't say little business. I take that back. It is definitely an art and music place. And so he said that vinyl music does something different to the brain waves. I think that's what he said, compared to like CDs and all of this. So writing is kind of like that too, huh?
Right, because the sound from a digital device is bits. From a vinyl, you're actually getting the keys that's actually recorded from people's fingers. Oh. And so it just completely hits the ear different. Even the sound of the little static.
I know, I like that sound for some reason.
It just pipes your ear differently. And so, and I think that a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new, and when you and it's also when you write your appointments down, people were more likely to be on time, because now that they're digital, they can get quite out. You don't remember it. Right?
Aha! Hey guys, look at that. We still do that. We actually
remember them appointment books?
Yeah.
It imprints in your brain different when you see something written down, or something physically comes in the mail versus comes over even email.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. This is extremely powerful here. Some great tips on how to build your clientele. I want to present. I hope I can. Let's see if I can share my. Here it is. Windows. Here it is, right here. Let me just share this right quick. We got a few more minutes. This right. Can you guys see that? Can you see that pretty good? Okay, so this here is what we call Theology of Craft Mastery. And I use this when I am training here at the hair salon. And my dad, it was my father who encouraged me to do this and to use my skills as an outreach worker, or my social science skills, to help teach other, people how I build clientele. And so when Cheryl talked about talking to my colleagues about building a clientele, I was able to deduce that there's two things that's happening when we're trying to build that clientele. You have a soft or a hard skill that you're actually doing, and then you have what's happening in the customer's head. So I'll just highlight one or two. So for example, when you give that consultation, right, This is where you and Theo was talking about your rapport is established. You get to use all of your fancy terminology that you paid for, your trichotilloses and your onychomycosis and your comedones and all of this stuff, right? Then you can show your personality, whether you're charming or witty or just kind of laid back like a dead fly, your shampoo and your massage. Like, remember, this is your hard / soft skill, but this is where I find that the customer begins to trust you. If you can't shampoo, you're pretty much not going to make it. Let's just be honest. And we can talk about that a little bit more. Your body language, like how you smell, what all of how you move, your tone, all of that is going to be critiqued by the customers. Again, you talked about selling stuff, like verbally walking your customer through like what you're doing, and you're explaining why. So again, this is what we call the theology of craft mastery. And I'm just going to be honest here. I think I stopped my sharing here. Okay, I can honestly say that in my 23, 25 years as a cosmetologist, I've trained probably maybe 24, not a lot, 24 of cosmetologists. And I'm going to say that every single last one of them today are doing exceptionally well. And with those who were like, really like, I want to do it, if they followed this theology of craft mastery, in 6 months, they were booked out for the rest of the year. They were and ready to go, leave the Rebel Society hair salon, because our program is build, grow, and go. You don't have to, anyhow. And then if some people were just a little bit shy and reserved, it took about a year to get themselves booked out for the rest of the year. We don't take walk-ins here at the salon because we're just so booked. I've never had to put out a sign, walk-ins welcome. And I'm not saying you don't have to do that. I'm just using your point, you and Theo's point about establishing, that. So can you speak to that as we wrap this up a little bit more about the whole, that getting personal and asking those questions, and you guys are going to be able to do it. We promise you.
Well, make sure that you understand that your salon and your chair is going to be a dental chair sometimes, a doctor's chair, a psychologist's chair. It's going to be a lot of different chairs because you're going to have to render and be well adjusted to the point where you are making sure that you are present. And being present means that customer, not the one in the lobby, not in the one in the reception, not the one that's under the that person in your chair is the only one at that moment. And to be present is the greatest gift you can offer a customer and a client. A customer may trust you to sell them a comb and have the best oil or whatever the case may be, and they'll come by and say, I'll book an appointment, next month. But that client that comes in every once a week or every other week, they are depending on you to give them your undivided attention. So go to sleep, get some rest, be ready to go, and give your customer your best attention and your best healthier self that you possibly can.
Yeah, and that's my big mom would say, stay ready, ain't got to get ready. There's no downtime. Whenever I have downtime, I'm always working on ideals. I'm always, doing my social media posting. Theo talked about that in the chat. This is very deliberate. You can write these things out. There are a plethora of websites that you can go to that are perfectly free that will give you tips on how to do these things. Video editing. I do use Video Leap. Most of these apps have a free version that you can use for a little while. I don't recommend that you pay for those things until you actually have a clientele that you can pay for it, because those
free trials.
Those $4.99 coming out of your account. You got 5 of those.
Or go get you all of the gift card, okay? And while you have the gift card, go get on all the photo trials and all you need with that one gift card, and it should last you about 2 months. You guys should.
Yeah. Yeah, take advantage of it. Yeah, be very creative. Use those if you're not the best photographer or photographer, or however you say it. Cheryl talks about AI. We'll be able to talk about how you could use AI in another podcast. But that's what we're here for, guys, is to help you guys make it through that education. And any topics, again, that you want us to cover, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you have some questions, let me just go ahead on and put that back in here. You can email Cheryl and I at afrohairscience@gmail.com. We do respond, but you can drop them in the chat. We got you faded. Tonight, we're going to be back at 6 o'clock on the dumbest that people say about Black hair. We're going to be talking about the role of the mother. You got social media. All of these things are influencing how parents care for hair. So March is March is Women's Month, and then you had International Women's Day. So we're going to talk about that. What's the role of the mother in hair care, given the influence of social media? Very good topic tonight. So Cheryl, let's close us out with some food for thought on how to build that clientele and get them coins and pay those loans back and travel and do all types of wonderful, cool stuff once they start working behind the chair.
Join groups. Join groups on social media. Don't try to get 50,000 people. Get 5 people that got audience who have a lot of people connected to the group. So once you post, it's going to be basically seen by everybody. So join groups, and that's just my technique. I've had a lot of success with joining groups, being, kind of social inside of groups and not just individual posts. Sometimes it's gets a little redundant. You need to focus on, your clientele, or if you have 2 jobs, you need to focus on both of those, and so join lots of groups. They'll kind of pass your post along and get you involved in things of that nature. So good luck.
Don't isolate yourself. You can't do it by yourself. This platform is just one of many that you can use. So here's a group right here, and you are more than welcome to join us every Monday. I'm going to move the time to 12:30 because I do have a customer beforehand, and so it was a little crunch for time. So I'm going to move the time to 12:30, and we'll be only just for an hour, specifically, strictly for students of barbering, cosmetology, aesthetics, nail school owners, and of course school instructors. And so we appreciate you guys so much. We will be back Monday at 12:30. And you guys, I didn't get I'll post what our next topic is going to be. I think it was build clientele. I forgot the other one. Okay, I will post that. So we'll be back next Monday at 12:30. But in the meantime, you know what we say when we're signing out, right? Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Study hard and get ready for those state board exams, because the world of barbering and beauty awaits you. So we're ready to have you in the world of work. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day.
So, you think you can do hair? Then join us every Monday at 12 o'clock on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel.